Have you been grieving over the loss of your estranged, cut off adult child? In this video, we're going to be talking about grief and estrangement, especially with adult children, and you're going to learn about complicated grief. That's when grief goes on way too long. Hang on till the end of the video because we're going to learn about how to cope. Hi, I'm Marie Morin. I'm a therapist and a wellness coach. My ebook, Feeling Heartbroken and Alone, How to Pick Up the Pieces When You're Estranged, is in the description box below. Let's get started. Estrangement from an adult child can be extremely heartbreaking. You can feel like your whole world has collapsed. We're going to discuss the difference between normal grief and complicated grief because it's important to know if your grief has gone on too long and then how to cope with it. So in normal grief, you can experience feelings such as being shocked. You can have bargaining, denial, anger, depression, and then acceptance. But complicated grief is something entirely different. Complicated grief is when your grief has gone on for longer than about 6 months and you're still feeling really terrible. Complicated grief symptoms include persistent thoughts about the person that is estranged. Also, you can have intrusive thoughts. Your thoughts are distorted and you're not quite thinking as you did before the loss. You could be feeling like you don't know who you are without the person that you lost, without your estranged adult child. You can feel numbness. You can feel like you don't have a purpose in life without them. You can be irritable. You can also be either avoiding any type of memory or hyper-focused on all things about your adult child. You can also be pining for your adult child so much that you just about can't do anything else without thinking about them. And you can also have huge feelings of hopelessness, which is basically depression. The American Psychiatric Association considers this complex grief disorder or prolonged grief disorder. And what happens is there's a disturbance in the normal process of grief. Normal grief should last about 6 months. It could last a little longer, but when it's prolonged and you're experiencing the feelings and the symptoms that we spoke about a moment ago, that could be a sign that you're going to need help. So what to do to cope? So if you identify with any of these symptoms and you feel like it's been going on for way too long and you're feeling really sad, you're feeling depressed, you're hopeless, you want to see a specialist, a bereavement counselor, someone that really knows how to treat grieving and prolonged grieving. The second thing to do is to see your medical doctor because sometimes we get feelings of sadness that mimic depression that are caused by a medical situation. So you want to make sure that you're physically okay. The third thing to do is to be informed. What is complicated grief? What is normal grief? And know about estrangement, because estrangement is a marathon. It's not a sprint. We have no idea how this is going to end. We have no idea what will happen from now until the point that maybe you might reconcile quickly. Usually estrangement lasts between 4.5 years. It could go on for many, many years. So you have to be prepared for what will happen. Number 4, you'll want to explore and process emotions. What does this mean? You don't want to avoid your emotions. This is why it's a good idea to see a therapist and someone trained in bereavement and estrangement, because you will need someone to support you as you process your emotions. What does that mean? You allow yourself to feel. Basically, you take time to access what you're feeling and let it flow through, and it's going to hurt, but this is a very important step. Number 5 is to improve your coping skills and reduce your feelings of guilt and shame. So this is a difficult step, but this is absolutely essential. Number 6, be prepared for things like holidays, birthdays, upcoming events where you might have to see your estranged adult child, or you might be reminded of your estranged adult child, and you'll want to have some type of preparation. And we're going to discuss that a little bit later. 7, do self-care. What does this mean? You want to make sure you're eating well, sleeping well, getting enough water, going outside, being social. You want to have some type of activity, some kind of movement that you're doing every day. Learn self-talk so that you find your way through to acceptance. What does that mean? So you're going to look to the place where you say, I intend to accept my condition of being estranged and to resume my life and have new plans and not go down with the ship. You want to at least look towards that. Staying in this estranged condition in the depth of the sadness and in the depth of all these complicated feelings and the grieving, you want to have some outlook that you will get to acceptance. Number 10 is to deal with reminders by having some type of a distraction. You're going to want to create new traditions. You're going to want to be around people that love and value you, and you want to not go down with the ship by just isolating and being reminded and immersing yourself in the reminder. But what about the effects of estrangement on our mental health if we don't have complex grief? We're going to be talking about that in my next video. Be sure to watch that. And don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And leave me a comment. Let me know how you're doing and if this video has been helpful for you. See you in the next video.